What's up, everybody? Welcome to the third episode of the Jimmy and Eden podcast. Today with me, I have Jimmy, who's back, and we have my friend Jordon Virtue and a previous guest, Brian Albert. How are you guys doing?
I'm back. Hi.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're good.
I think we're all good.
So, Jordon is new to the cast, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm kind of a stalwart PC gamer dude. I'm on here specifically to talk about like sort of politics and behind this scenes machinations of EVE Online, and that's sort of what's been dominating my PC playing time lately. Other than that, that's about it, actually.
Are you
Cool.
the only person who plays EVE online?
Yeah,
In North America?
from what I understand, yeah. I've learned a pretty great deal between EVE and Doctor Who. I've learned more about Europeans than I ever thought I would. So
And you study political science in university, so
I
it's kind of
did, yeah.
surprising.
There's within Goon Swarm, our main leader guy was a lawyer for 5 years and studied poli-sci before he started doing that, and we also had unfortunately one of those people that got killed in Benghazi was our lead diplomat.
Wow.
So yeah, it's the game definitely attracts people who are politically minded and sort of have a knack for interpersonal type things.
So, Dust 514 is in the same universe, right?
Yeah.
And the universe is called Eden or something like that. I know my name's in there somewhere.
Yeah. So the fictional universe is called New Eden.
Okay.
That really only touches on this sort of the lore, which nobody really pays much attention to. I mean, it's a very... The mechanics of the game are, I think, what makes it so popular. So, I mean, the lore is there, but it's really only there to sort of rope people in at the beginning. So yeah, Dust 514 is in the same universe. It would be more accurate to say that it's on the same server, or server cluster, I guess. It's called Tranquility. It's this big, bleeding edge, the most advanced server technology that exists outside of the military stuff based in London. And so Dust and Eve are both on that server cluster.
Okay. So, how...
Wow, I just play Flappy Bird.
What server cluster is Flappy Bird on, Brian?
Nope.
Not
Flappy Bird's
now.
gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
But back to Eve. There'll be time for Flappy Bird later.
There's always time for Flappy Bird.
Always.
But how long have you played Eve? Because it's been out for a long time now.
Yeah, it was... I mean, I don't know if people measure MMOs in waves, but it came out in 2003, 2004, about the same time as the vanilla build of World of Warcraft. But I've been playing... I gave it a shot initially back in high school in 2008, but it didn't take the first time. And that's apparently not an uncommon phenomena, that you need to take a couple of runs at it to really get into it. But my current incarnation in the game, I tried in 2011, and I spent most of the first year in the game just sort of by myself or hanging out with a small group of people. And then in 2012, one of the people that I'd spent the first year sort of pissing around with had revealed to me that he was a Something Awful member for a long time. And he sponsored me into Goon Swarm Federation, which is where I am right now.
So what is Goon Swarm Federation? What is that?
So when you hear over the last years about the big stories of people losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in the game,
Okay.
and giant alliances like clashing with one another.
Okay.
Goon Swarm Federation is like I don't want to say lead in case anybody in one of the other alliances listening, it'll get pissed off about it, but is, I don't know, call the shots, I guess, of the CFC, the Clusterfuck Coalition, which is one of the arguably the biggest coalition in the game.
Okay.
So Goon Swarm had its genesis out of the Something Awful forums, the same way that a few of the other alliances and corps in the game sort of had their genesis out of other forums.
Okay.
Like we've got people from Elitist Jerks are in the CFC, and people from Penny Arcade are in the CFC. But so Goon Swarm is, like I said, from Something Awful, and they're arguably the first English-speaking group. And I say English-speaking because, like, back in the day, you sort of needed to form a community to have any backbone to what you were doing.
Okay.
Like, the Russians back in the day had a backbone to what they were doing because you had to install a mod onto, like, the vanilla build of the game in order to get Cyrillic in the game. So they would literally be able to communicate with one another without anyone knowing what they were saying. Like, it would just, all their text would just appear as little boxes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
Goon Swarm, it was a way for people to stay cohesive and stay connected, and pass information around in order to sort of get roots and like I said, become sort of optimal.
Okay, I'm overwhelmed.
That was a pretty gnarly exposition dump. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm J.R.R. Tolkien here, just like explaining, like, and the bark on the tree was effervescent in its,
Well, from my know-nothing standpoint of Eve, there are two things that I've like noticed that I thought were pretty cool about it, which is you can use a form of in-game currency to pay the subscription fee. I always thought that was really cool, and that the currency in the game actually does have a real-life monetary value that can be measured. That's kind of insane to me.
Yeah, for sure.
That can even be a real thing. And like I hear about all these different events where like thousands of or hundreds of thousands of dollars are just lost, and that's like, I don't know, it just makes it feel more real to me reading about it from the outside. It's like, wow, this is a big thing. And like Eden said, like it's hard to find anyone in North America, surprisingly, that plays the game. But it looks like there's a huge player base though. I mean, obviously it's been around for a long time. It came out when...
Isn't there an elected board that meets in real life?
Yeah, don't they get to
discuss
go out
things?
to where CCP is or something
Yeah,
like
so
that? Yeah.
it's called the Counselor of Stellar Management,
Okay.
and they meet twice a year. Well, they meet all the time online, but they meet twice a year in Iceland. And yeah, it's a democratically elected body.
Okay. That's cool.
And
I think that's awesome.
Oh boy.
So if someone brand new jumped in right now, do they have a chance of ever becoming as powerful as anyone who's there now? Or do you think they're always going to be behind?
I mean, like anything else, war is kind of a numbers game, if that's what you're talking about in Eve. So
War never changes.
I was like on my way driving here, and I was like, I'm gonna make a Ron Perlman joke before I. But I mean, that's one of the weird things about Eve is that you don't level up in it. You accrue skill points over time. So, like you said, like, is it possible for a young player or a young group of players to ever get to the same point as someone who's been playing for 8 or 10 years. Individually, no. It'd be impossible, you know? I mean, eventually you sort of get to the same point. You can fly the same ships. But it is a numbers game. So if you roped a bunch of your friends together and you decided you wanted to go out and mess around with some people, you probably could pretty easily, even if they were a lot older than you.
Okay.
You mean older as in, like, game?
Yeah, older in game time.
So it's not just
No,
like a
they're
bunch
the
of
big
20-years
kids.
fighting 50-years.
It's funny that you say that, because the player base in EVE, pretty old.
Yeah. And I heard recently that they built, like, there's like a huge monument to Eve now being built near CCP in Iceland, which is like, it's just crazy how big of a, this game seems to kind of fly under the radar too. Like, and then when big things happen, it comes out and then you're like, wow, there's a lot to this.
Yeah. Glenn Beck, at the time of the Benghazi incident, accused Goon Swarm of being a CIA front. So, so every now and again, it will bleed over into real life, and sometimes news sites will get it right, and sometimes news sites will get it completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the listeners who don't know, how is Eve connected to Benghazi? Or what happened there?
Okay. So there was an incident a few years ago in Benghazi, Libya, where the American consulate was assaulted by rebels. And the American ambassador to Libya, along with, 2 or 3 of the people that worked at the consulate were all killed. And one of the people that was killed, and unfortunately the people who weren't the ambassador sort of get glossed over some of the time. One of those people was a man by the name of Sean Smith, whose in-game name was Vile Rat. He was our head diplomat for the longest time. He essentially averted as many wars as he started with us on the right footing. And so he was an IT guy there. And he was an IT guy all around the world, and he'd been playing with goons for a long time. And from what I understand, I don't know if this is 100% correct, but the last correspondence he sent to anyone before he was killed was to us over our Jabber network. And it was just, fuck gunfire. And that was it.
Wow.
Oof. So, in that, his death somehow caused a lot of the money loss that was reported, right? Or inadvertently did that?
Well, I mean, maybe if he was still alive, we all would have found a more tactful resolution to what went on. But essentially what triggered this latest news story was apparently a glitch in the UI that temporarily disabled the auto pay option for holding rent over solar systems. I mean, yeah,
Yes.
sure. Yeah, it sounds mundane. It sounds super mundane. But, art, I guess.
So people weren't getting the money they were
games,
owed?
Art imitates life. Games imitate life, or whatever, you know? I mean, if you were late on your rent, you know, maybe you'd get chewed out by your landlord. You probably wouldn't lose $300,000 in pixel spaceships.
That's insane.
So, has Eve's currency always translated to real-world currency?
Yeah, and that's one of the really interesting things about the game, is that it's CCP's Crowd Control Productions, the devs behind EVE Online. It's their way of essentially allowing you to buy in-game currency without resorting to like sketchy WoW gold farmers, for lack of a better term. So for $14.99 US, you can buy 30 days worth of game time, and the price on that fluctuates depending on supply and demand, the same way that every other commodity in EVE does.
So is EVE the original? Like, is their currency the original Bitcoin?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there were jokes for the longest time about Russians real money trading their EVE. It's called the Plex, the 15 day game, or the $15 30-day game card. There were jokes for the longest time about Russians like flipping it for slightly cheaper, but flipping enough of it that they could make car payments and pay their rent just for doing that.
Wow.
So if you collect enough of this currency, can you like cash it out into real world money ever, or is it stuck in? Okay, so it's always within the game.
Yeah.
So like a corporation couldn't make an in-game corporation couldn't make a ton of money and then cash it out and then have
not legitimately.
Okay.
I mean, and you sort of have to outline that.
We're about to go deep here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, fire up your Tor clients. We're going in the deep web. It's been pretty well documented outside of just the Russians back in the day doing that stuff, that there are people on the Chinese shard, of the EVE server, that do that. And I guess because of how difficult it is to enforce essentially any intellectual property or copyright laws in China, that they can a lot more brazenly get away with flipping Plex for real money. So, but the one thing that I think the news doesn't do a great job representing is that when stories say that people lose $500,000 or $300,000 or whatever in ships, it's extremely rarely that someone will like completely pay for their ship with real money. Like it's a lot more common for people to do PvE until they have enough money to buy a ship.
Okay.
So $300,000 lost in that, like, the Plex conversion doesn't necessarily mean that those alliances or whatever are actually out $300,000.
Jeez.
Okay.
This is kind of like mind blowing. Yeah, I never gone this deep into EVE, learning about it. So this is crazy to me.
I've watched a lot of content and read a lot of content out of that. It's called FanFest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fascinated, but I'm like, there's no way I can dive into this. There's no way.
I am planning on going this year.
Wait, so what is FanFest? That
sounds awesome.
I have no idea what FanFest is. What is this?
It's like a 3 or 4 day long thing in Reykjavik, where the devs put on. I mean, think of like the BlizzCon. It's essentially just EVE's BlizzCon.
Yeah, BlizzCon, Minecon, whatever.
Do they traditionally reveal anything big at this, or is it just more for fans?
Yeah, it's I don't know if you'd heard about that Oculus Rift tech demo thing.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Yeah, so back when that was called EVE VR, before it was called Valkyrie, and Oculus was going to exclusively distribute it.
Okay.
That was initially revealed at FanFest.
Oh, okay. Wow, so this is like a big deal. Okay, sweet, man. Jeez. That sounds like it'd be...
EVE is PC only, right?
Yes.
All right. So we actually have a few questions from the audience about EVE, and you in particular. So John Nair, mutual friend of ours, asked, how much money has Mr. J Virtue invested in EVE? If you could all name a planet in the game, what would you name it? So that's 2 questions. He cheated.
I think I've, over my entire career, bought maybe a dozen Plex at $15 US a pop. So whatever that is in math calculations.
Whatever that is in math.
And if I could name a planet, I would name it Freya after my Shiba Inu.
Oh. What would
Okay.
you guys
Did you
name
get a
your
Shiba
planets?
before or after the Doge meme?
My Shiba is 5 years old this year.
Okay. What's your planet name, Eden?
I'd probably just name it Eden because I'm an asshole that's
Yeah,
so self-involved. Or and Jimmy would probably name his Airbud.
No, I'd name mine Paradise City. From Burnout Paradise.
That's pretty good.
And it would be a planet. It would be a burnout planet that no one could go to because there's no characters. But yeah.
Jimmy,
definitely
my
burnout.
name translates to paradise. Does that
Oh.
mean you're going to name your city or your planet after me?
Eden
We
City.
could share a planet. And
Okay.
half it.
You can have a city on my planet.
Okay, and it has to always be playing Guns N' Roses. It has to be very very close to Burnout Paradise in every way. So, because that is the best video game.
What about you, Brian?
Probably butt embargo.
Button
Just to
Bargo?
keep this joke running. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
I don't know where it came from.
I invented
You just started
it.
laughing about it on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. Eden's embargo jokes are by far my favorite thing right now because
Your favorite embargo jokes?
no, they're like some of my favorite jokes in general right now. because,
Okay.
You know, Dodge is dying, sadly, because that was my favorite. And Eden started the embargo thing in our Facebook chat, and I was like in the library the first time she sent it to me, and it was like really late and really quiet, and everyone was in like full study mode. And then Eden sent me like, here's my new really funny one, and then she sent me the butt embargo one, and
So,
I lost
what
my
did I
mind.
say? Because I've been saying it like 7 times. What was the original one? Oh yeah, embargo on your butt. Now you can't poop.
Yeah.
And that was like, we laughed about it.
And
for,
I like lost my
and
mind in the
still.
library, and everyone was staring at me, and I was dying, but it was so funny. And then
So-
you tweeted it, and
For people
the
who
rest
might
is
not
history.
understand, from our games journalist friends, what is an embargo?
So it's when maybe a publisher gives you access to a game before it's out, but they say, hey, you can't talk or write about this until this time.
which
It's
is,
a limitation.
Yeah.
and
So
sometimes they're more clear than others, but
Right.
it's
So
always
what-
fun.
I've heard the deal with embargoes is based on like how confident a publisher is about a game doing well. But what
Yeah.
does that have to do with the length or the time of an embargo?
Yeah, that can definitely be a thing. So if a publisher, this is like general, like things change here and there, but if a publisher is really confident that their game is good, let's say Rockstar and GTA 5, right? They might give you the game really early to give you plenty of time to make content because they're almost positive it's going to have a high score.
Mm-hmm.
If they aren't so sure about it, maybe they've done focus testing and those mock reviews came in really bad. They might not even get us the game until launch day, or might not give us the game at all.
Like that new Dragon Ball Z game that just came out. I
Right.
heard you guys just had
Yeah,
to go
they don't
buy
want-
it.
Yeah, because then the fans or whatever will go maybe buy the game before a review is even up.
Yeah. And traditionally, a good example I've seen is Nintendo will send out games like way early, and the embargoes will be also way early. Like Mario and Luigi Dream Team, I think IGN posted the review months before it came out, and even Bravely Default has had a. That's a different circumstance.
Yeah,
'cause
Bravely Default was weird because
yeah,
it was out in
it was
the
out
UK,
already,
But
but- yeah.
or like this was a while ago, but Killzone 2, I remember IGN got that like a month and a half before it came out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah. Strange things.
Yeah, embargoes are weird, and indie developers have been very, very, or a lot better, in my experience, about broadcasting when that embargo is, which is funny.
well, they probably depend on the reviews for marketing a lot more, right?
Yeah, and I feel like the confidence factor actually does play more in with bigger games, but indie devs have traditionally been a lot cooler about post the review whenever.
Yeah, they're definitely not. You don't have to talk up the ladder of PR and marketing. It's just like usually the same person who made the game is also handling that part, and they're just more happy that someone's covering it,
right? And
not how or when.
And you're not even generally required to do a review. Like if you ask for a press code for, say, a Vita game, like Ali, they were just like, yeah, if you could just even write a preview, that'd be great. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
And because it doesn't, like, so last time on the first episode of the show, you talked about Ali.
Yeah. And
like, it's just that it is in someone's mind who is reaching more people.
Yeah.
Like it. So yeah.
And that worked for them, I guess, because I just talked to Tom from Ali. He runs our Twitter, and apparently that game is selling incredibly well, and they're really pleased with the return on it, which is
cool.
We were talking about it. It's kind of insane for a Vita exclusive to have someone be that excited about its return, you know, just because the Vita's not in that many people's hands. But yeah,
it's in a lot more people's hands now, though, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's been doing extremely well since
the UK
PS4 integration.
The UK sales on the Vita since the PS4 came out, they're up 165% ish, and I mean, I can't imagine that translates to like millions of consoles, but just because so few have been sold worldwide. But
right.
Yeah, apparently it's doing better, which is great. And Ali, I recently finished it, and every second of that game was incredible. And it was funny, we actually talked about how I thought it would be a good iOS game, and they like us on the 2 episodes ago, and they were talking, and they said that it was originally an iOS prototype, and James Marsden from Future Lab like played it on iOS, and he was like, yo, you guys need to put this on Vita, and he like got them in contact with Sony, and so it's like just a slippery slope for them.
I'm glad it worked.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. Like, hey, this massive platform that everyone has versus the Vita.
Right. And
I'm glad it worked.
It was a completely different game too. Like you could own there's this thing called rad mode, which is you have to do perfect grinds and perfect landings, which is the hardest thing in the world in this game. And on the iOS version, the entire game was rad mode, because Roll7 is really into making incredibly hard games, and they said that to them, really hardcore games don't do so well on iOS, because they've actually had 2 iOS games come out and completely flop but get good reviews, but they're just so hard to play in hardcore that they haven't really connected with the casual iOS user base. So and
you know what iOS game didn't flop?
Flappy Bird. And it's really hard, so it's making me eat my words. But yeah, Flappy Bird is crazy.
Rest in peace.
I hopped on the
quick,
bandwagon recently. Yeah.
So I started playing it on Friday. I went for lunch with a bunch of coworkers.
Me too.
Who also happen to make games, right? And so we were talking about it and trying to figure out how they would make $50,000 a day off ad revenue when, like, the only time they showed the ads was during gameplay. And I know, like, there's accidental clicks, but actually a lot of the times, like, just from my experience, if you have a lot of accidental clicks, that can kind of be tracked. And if, like, Google, for example, if you're buying ads from them or selling ads through them, if they notice that you have, like, a peak in ad sales, they'll go through your UI and, like, look for that kind of stuff. And, like, I was having a hard time trying to figure that out. And then the next day, after I was, like, sitting there thinking about this, I think we actually talked about this while we were playing Minecraft, Brian. The guy that made it just said, I've had enough of this. It was just like, okay.
He apparently is getting a lot of harassment online. This whole thing's really strange, and people have been avoiding. There's people who are, like, proud that they're avoiding Flappy Bird, and, like, even if you don't like the game, you need to pay attention to what this did to the industry and to a developer and what it means for how iOS games make money. So the developer, I mean, he woke up and then the world was playing his game, so that's pretty stressful. But I don't know. I think people were really getting on his case about the pipes looking like they're from Mario, or from people who are like, your game doesn't deserve this success, and it sounds like it just kind of broke him.
Yeah.
Well,
Coupled with
it wasn't
media
just
attention.
the Mario thing. There was apparently like a game 2 years ago that played and looked very similar to Flappy Bird. It wasn't pixel art, but they had like the yellow bird, and instead of the pipes, it was cactuses, and it came out in 2011 or something like that. And so, I mean, but there was also rumors, and I'm not entirely sure how true these are, that Flappy Bird was built out of a tutorial that was given in a game dev studio. I'm not sure if it was Monogame or something similar to that. So it was something that probably a lot of developers have made, just kind of trying to learn the technology. So,
Right.
and I mean, he didn't market this game very much, so it's just like,
Yeah, it came out in May, I
oops.
think.
So
It's been on a
for
while.
it to take off now it's weird, and it's exciting. Like, for me, as like, I want to make games soon, and I've been kind of working on that stuff. Like, the idea of just like not marketing something and then all of a sudden it just like took off, like, that's kind of a dreamy thing for a lot of people, and obviously that doesn't happen that often, but you know, like, it's just weird and interesting and goofy, and the fact that this guy is just like not having any of it.
Right.
It's interesting.
Well, it sort of feels like, and see, I don't know the real story. There are all these rumors like, oh, like you're saying, it's from this one game, or that he somehow used like bots to push his game up the App Store list. I don't know if any of that's true. I just hear about it. But if that is true, it would sort of be like, oh, I just sort of made this thing, it's not doing anything, and then it blows up, and the world can like pick apart your creation, kind of figure out if you did something a little devious. That would, I don't know, if that is the case, that'd be very scary.
Yeah.
I could see why you'd want to take it down.
And another thing I was thinking about is these controversial games like this. They like back in the day, you could like keep these games that get pulled really quickly, and they'd end up being rare, really, really valuable. But the game's pulled now. But I know iOS is different, where if you've already downloaded a game once, you can go back and download it. But what if in like, I was thinking this is kind of like a what if scenario. What if later iPhones with the game downloaded to them become like super valuable because like you can't get the game anymore? Wouldn't that, like, I just feel like that's something that could even happen. And then like game history of like, remember Flappy Bird, that game that
Like owning
it's
a copy of the E.T. game that got buried in the fucking desert.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
What?
So you
What
have like an iPhone.
Wait, you don't know about this?
Wait. No, I'm dumb.
Eden, you're not dumb.
It's like-
but
No.
it's like ignorant would be somehow.
So the really terrible ET game on, it was Atari 2600.
Yeah.
It just, they made this ET game and they made way too many copies, and it didn't sell well, and they apparently just buried truckloads of them out in a desert.
Yeah,
It like
they
caused the
noped
big
out-
video game crash too.
They noped out harder than any publisher has ever noped out before.
Yeah. And
Oh, it's so good.
yeah, but like that game's super valuable now if you have
Yeah.
a copy. So
I was sort of not expecting Flappy Bird to be pulled. Just a few days ago, I think on the 5th, the creator did an interview with The Verge, and he's like, yeah, I'm making $50,000 a day on ads, and also I'm never going to update this. Adding anything to it would ruin it. And 2 days later, there was an update.
yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what are you doing, guy?
Was
But
it just bug updates though? Like, I can understand like
It got,
saying
like,
I'm not
a-
going to add new features,
Uh,
but I'm going to fix it if it's broken.
It got a
They weren't-
graphical overhaul. Kind of.
It did. It got a graphical overhaul. It got like day-night cycles and new colored birds and stuff.
Oh.
But a lot of it was like frame rate and UI fixes.
Right. And
Day-night cycles.
yeah. The ads also show up like way less frequently now for me.
Right. The ads used to be during the game, and now they show up right when you fail.
Right. And they
Okay,
used to
I
have the
must not have
Mario
gotten the
things in the
update.
background, and now it's a city. Like the Mario hills that are out of Super
Mhm.
Mario, those used to be in the background, and now it's like a city skyline.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like, if it was, I mean, it's his first game on the market from my understanding, and if he's just like messing around with sprite sheets for the first time, why not experiment with something that is fairly popular and that you understand well and that you can learn from? Like, I understand using those assets if it was like a learning project and it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna put this on the store and see what happens. But you know, like, it's just, it's kind of sad that, like, that he got so much flack for that. I mean, I've done, like, while I'm learning, like, I've made sprite sheets that look a lot like other things, but those aren't meant for the public, and I wouldn't ever expect somebody to download my game that much, especially with how competitive the App Store is.
So much flack, or so much flap?
Oh my gosh.
All right, guys. Good night.
Brian.
Yeah, one thing you should read just before we move on from this. The indie game developer, his name is Mike Bithell. I don't like saying his name because I also really like someone named Tom Bissell, and it sounds like I'm saying it with a lisp. Mike Bithell. He made Thomas Was Alone, and he made a blog post recently in timing with this Flappy Bird thing, and it's called On Success. And it's just a few things to maybe to think about before you go rush out and bash this Flappy Bird creator. Just get some perspective. It's a good thing to read.
I don't know. I wasn't about to bash him.
Yeah.
He was just like,
he's gotten
not talking to you guys.
so much
Yeah,
unnecessary.
no, fair enough. I know that. But he was just like, this game is ruining my simple life. I don't want this anymore. My planet needs me. I have to go now.
It's sad that how it happened.
I kind of likened it to, I was like, so this is like Cookie Clicker, but for phones? And then immediately after I said that, I was like, I don't want to play video games anymore. I'm just going to go, I'm going to go buy some fucking sports equipment and leave forever.
I'm done. Just want to throw out there, I got 232. I'm pretty proud of that.
What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
That's
insane.
4 was my highest score, was 4.
I got 30 like 20 minutes ago, and I like freaked out. I was like, yeah, I got 30. You got over 200. Oh my god. How long did that take in real life time? Like how long of a run is that? Do you know? Or?
I think it was like 5 minutes.
Shit. That's insane. That's super cool.
Maybe not quite that long. Yeah.
Wow.
I felt happy. That's my legacy. I can leave this Flappy Bird game behind.
Did you screenshot
I broke
it?
200. Yeah, I did.
Oh, good. Does it have Game Center achievements? I know
It doesn't have achievements. It just has leaderboards.
Okay. So you're probably at the top of all your friends now, right?
I am on mine, yeah. And I'm actually friends with... Do you know Jason Killingsworth?
Heard the name.
He was the features writer at Edge, and he's really good. He's one of my favorites. And he went off to... He's writing at Riot Games now, so maybe he's working on League of Legends. I don't know.
Okay.
But he's amazing at iOS games. I don't know how. He's an alien of some sort, and I'm beating him by like 100. So it feels pretty good.
Oh man, I would feel great. The guy who the CEO of Razer, I don't know how to say his name. It's like Ming. Yeah, Min.
I know who you're talking about.
Min Lian Tan. He makes me laugh all the time because he's like this huge game peripheral, like CEO guy type deal, and he always posts screenshots of these like really hit iOS games. I wonder if he's like all up on Flappy Bird's business. I bet he'd be a champ at it. Because
that sounded so gross for some reason.
He's all up on that business.
Yeah, sorry, it's like a Michigan phrase. Sorry, guys.
If this Flappy Bird thing is just a jump-off point for that developer dude, I really look forward to the Flappy Bird's roguelike.
Yeah, and he said that he's not done
That'll
making games, so we'll see what comes next.
No, he's not. He has a few others on the store, but they actually sort of got some success just writing off Flappy Bird.
Like Shuriken Dodge is one of them.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to play them just to like see what they are, but yeah.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool if this guy with his 50,000 a day that he made kind of came back with a more fleshed out Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
I don't know, something that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I saw that IGN reviewed it, and are they really like one of the only people who or only sites that reviewed the game, like fully reviewed it?
I think so. we were like, no, let's not review this, and then I did a gameplay video with one of our Wiki's associate editors, Jared Petty.
Oh yeah.
And it did extremely well, and it took us no time to make, and we're like, okay, so people like this Flappy Bird, we should probably keep making Flappy Bird stuff.
Yeah. And
then the word came down to do a review, and Vince wrote it in like a day.
Yeah. What do you think of reviewing games like that? Like, do you think that it really deserves a review, like a game that's so one note, or?
I do. I think games that do like one note can be really awesome.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, for example, Super Hexagon.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of one thing, but I don't know. It's just
It's so new.
the bigger problem for me is divorcing the game from everything else around it. Like, for example, I'm re-reviewing Minecraft, and like, how do I ignore the phenomenon it's become, or the giant mod scene, or that the biggest YouTube channels, like half of them are about Minecraft. Like, you have to separate what's happening around the game from the game itself, and that would be more difficult for me.
Okay.
Man, that shitstorm when the PS3 or whatever it was review came out from Minecraft, and it was higher than the PC review.
Yeah, that was me. I did that.
You got shipped for that? I didn't even know about this. What is this?
I was number 3 on Reddit's front page.
Wow.
So I was like, the PS3 version is it's like really awesome, but it's not the best way to play. Like, the PC is better, but I gave it a 9.5 and PC has a 9. What people don't understand, because we didn't communicate it maybe, is that first of all, I'm not Anthony Gallegos. I didn't review the PC one, and 2, we're re-reviewing the PC version. And I said in the comments that I would give it a higher score because I think it's better.
Okay.
So,
wow.
What I'm worried about is
and
when
yet,
I do. Oh, what's up?
I just said, and yet, the firestorm.
Yes. I'm worried about when I do re-review the PC one that they'll be like, "Oh, they just did it because we pointed it out on Reddit." I'm like, no, please don't say that.
The internet's gonna be a dick no matter what.
I know.
So, I don't know. I think you should just review it with your heart and your soul and put it out there on IGN.com.
I had a funny IGN experience this week. This is kind of relevant. I wrote one story about the PS4 update when the new headset stuff, and that got a lot of hits on it. And then on the next day, I wrote one about the Xbox One updates. And on the PS4 one, the mods cut out the comments, but everyone was calling me a PS fanboy and blah, 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 because like I mentioned on Beyond a couple times and all that. But then in the Xbox, or no, everyone, and then the Xbox one, people were like calling me an Xbox fanboy too, which was kind of like, it's just, you're going to get the hate either way, and that kind of sucks, but you just got to, I guess, ignore a lot of the comments.
Yeah,
it sucks.
I dislike people who play video games. They're the worst.
I don't know. I think like a lot of the times on the internet, and I actually posted a blog post about this on IGN this week and a bunch of other places, people just want to be dicks for the sake of being dicks because they can't do it as much in real life, and that it's just they want to take out stuff. Like, I did that one video when I was doing my vlog a little bit more actively, and I did that one video about Anita Sarkeesian, and I didn't even really talk about her points. I just talked about the fact that she was facing so much criticism for just existing. And I had like a good 10 to 15 people write, essays longer than a lot of the essays I hand in at university about how feminism is destroying the world, or how this is destroying gaming and all that stuff. And I really appreciated their views and their interests, but it's just like, people like to be negative, and it's really inevitable when you have, like, the whole group mentality thing and video games.
It's rough.
So, outside of EVE Online and Flappy Bird, what's everybody playing this week?
Brian, you can start this time. We're going to switch it up.
Minecraft?
For your PC review, right?
Yeah. Yep. I still have to do the 360 one as well, but PC right now.
I have a question for you on the Minecraft one that I just thought of again.
Okay.
Is this the first game that IGN is going back and re-reviewing ever?
It is.
So
We're
what's
actually...
What's that like?
What's that about?
Yeah, like, what's that like,
So,
being that guy?
There's actually a few of them going up at the same time. We're re-reviewing League of Legends as well.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And Minecraft 360 and Minecraft Pocket. Basically, there will be a blog post released from our reviews editor, Dan Stapleton,
okay,
whenever the first one of these goes up. We're not doing the polygon thing where it's like, well, today it's a 5 and yesterday it was a 12, and we're not doing that. It's just like if the game has lived long enough that it's totally different and our review is no longer helpful to read, we're going to change it.
Okay.
But the other caveat on there is that it also has to be something people will care about, because time spent re-reviewing is time spent not doing something else.
Okay.
So the big thing is, are you all familiar with the God Hand IGN joke?
No.
No.
So that PS2 game God Hand is actually like really good, and IGN gave it a 3, and people are like, re-review this game, and that's just a joke to this day. Like, re-review God Hand. People are going to say that, and we're like, no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There aren't enough people who care about that. But Minecraft and League of Legends, yes, there are plenty of people who care about that.
Are you guys gonna do you know if you're gonna do SimCity, even, like, because that's getting
I actually don't know.
offline, or the other one was Diablo, because Diablo's losing the always online in the auction house.
Right.
Well, Diablo's worth it just because it got released for consoles, right? Or are you talking about re-reviewing the PC?
Yeah, re-reviewing the PC.
We would re-review the PC one.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if we are. I think Dan will explain more in his blog
Okay,
post
cool.
whenever.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
the
push
Minecraft
you.
League review goes up.
That's just exciting to
No,
me.
it's fine. Yeah, it's neat. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Though, right?
Trying to mine you for all those hot scoops.
All the scoops.
Game scoops.
But yeah, it's sort of like, not that I have to think about this or think about it when I'm writing, but Metacritic only takes the first score. So whatever the old score is going to stand there, so the Metascore won't change. Like, just weird things to consider.
Yeah.
It's exciting, though. I'd like the idea of having a review that actually means something, actually helps people.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Minecraft deserves a 10, and I don't let that affect your score, but they have cats, and you can have a horde of cats following you around as you do stuff,
Right.
and it's awesome.
That sounds really cool.
That's
I didn't
at least
know that.
like 2 points free.
I didn't know that. I haven't played Minecraft in so long, guys.
Yeah, so there's like ocelots, and they're like,
Whoa.
you can take like fish, and you have to be like super careful because you can't like go up to them really fast. You have to like slowly go up to them, and this is annoying because yesterday I was playing with Brian actually, and he kept running up to the ocelots really fast and scaring them away when I was trying to tame them to be my house cats. And then you feed them fish, and if you do it enough times, they turn into house cats, and they'll like look like a tabby cat or a Himalayan or whatever.
Okay.
And I eventually like tamed like probably 40 of them, and then I started breeding them. And then I was like running around, and I just had like a horde of cats following me around.
Did
so
your
10 out
computer
of 10.
poop out?
Nope.
Wow.
Maybe Brian's, I don't know.
Nope, mine was alright.
That's awesome.
Other than that, I played a little bit of Nidhogg, but
Yeah.
has anyone else played that?
No,
Yep.
but I've heard about it. Can you explain
It's
it?
so good.
It's a lot deeper than people think it is.
Is it as deep
It
as Eve?
is.
It's
What
way
is it?
deeper than Eve.
It's a sword fighting game.
Okay.
And you sort of start like in the middle of this map, and then I don't know. The goal is to, like, if you're the right side player, you want to go like 5 screens to the left or whatever, and then vice versa. And you do that by like killing the opposing player and then running to the left. And you can do this with, you have swords that you can throw, but if you throw it, you're disarmed. You can have like high and low jabs. You have rolls. So it's this very technical, almost sort of like a fighting game where you're trying to like feel each other out and see what you're going to do. And then eventually someone makes a move, and it's just really exciting. You're always on edge. And it just swings back and forth. You might be on the last screen where if you get there, you get eaten by a giant worm. That's victory in this game, by the way. And then
only
like
way
someone
to
can
die.
turn it around. Yeah, it's really, really great. Seems very simple, but very deep.
And it's for PC?
Yeah, it's on I don't know if it's on anything else, but it is for sure on PC.
Okay. Cool.
Apparently, the reasoning behind that like giant worm thing is that you, as well as all the people in the stands, are these like retinue of like damned souls, and the only way that you can like die legitimately is by getting eaten by that worm. So that's
Okay.
that's why it's a reward to get to the end. You're like, oh, death, finally, rad.
This got super dark. Holy shit. This sounds awesome.
I didn't know that.
Man, it's based on Norse mythology.
Okay.
So that's dark by definition.
I want to play this. How much is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I just played it because we're doing a thing at IGN, like Gameplay Fridays, where once a month we set up like the biggest games of the month, and then we just kind of go around and play them.
Okay.
And that's was my experience with it.
It's enough that you should just buy it.
Okay.
Because
Right.
I don't think it's really that expensive.
Okay.
I think this was sort of it's been developed for a very long time, and if you sort of were in the hip indie crowd, you might have already been playing it for the past few years with the developer. It sort of seems like it was that sort of thing, and now it's just finally here.
Okay. It's $15. Just in case anyone.
It's so good. It was IGN's Game of the Month.
Yeah, that's new. I didn't see that before, but
Yeah.
You're good at advertising.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Like, subscribe, share, blah 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 blah.
And it got a 9.0 out
Trying
of 10.
to nail down that SEO.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks awesome. I think I'm gonna buy it.
What's everyone else playing?
I am.
I just played Minecraft this week. I literally I had a super busy week, and I didn't get to play any games until Friday. And I'm still mad at Persona 4 Golden, so I've been kind of like burnt out on it. Mm-hmm. And so I just played Minecraft on Friday night and Saturday, and that was fun because cats. But
Right.
I played. I went back and I went back for the Platinum and Gravity Rush because it's been taking up space on my memory card, and I really liked it the first time I played it. I just got lost in the Metal Gear collection because they came out at the same time. So I went back and I played that, and I played the Bravely Default demo, which I'm not traditionally into JRPGs, but I really enjoyed it, so I think I'm gonna buy the game. And I got sucked back into Rust like usual. I got a new puppy like my family did, so I haven't had as much game time as I would have liked.
What kind of puppy?
That's understandable.
We don't know, honestly. We adopted it, and
There you go.
Cute.
apparently it has some terrier in it and Griffin Pointer, but he's
it
like,
kind of looks like a chocolate lab, though.
yeah,
Like
we think you might have some of that in it too, but he's like super smart, and he analyzes situations before he gets
like
into them.
Airbud.
Yeah, like Airbud. And
Does he play Eve?
I wish. But he was like super into Rust last night. Like I brought him upstairs to hang out with me because my parents want to go to bed early and he has to go outside every 10 minutes. And he was like all jumping around and stuff. And then we turn on Rust and he was just watching it like intently. And we were like, is he just staring at the screen or what? But he was like watching the game, and it was getting kind of creepy. But yeah.
So how's Rust going?
It's going great. Honestly, I joined Mitch's server, Mitch Dyer from IGN, and my friends and I liked it, but they play a different sort of game where they make their own rules, because I feel like they're so far into the game where they make up these like new rules. Like they have a police station. They do that to keep it fun and fresh, but I'm still like kind of learning about the whole game itself. So we left their server, and my friend and I, and we found another server that is, thank the Lord, void of all hackers, which is step like prerequisite 1 for us now because we're getting sick of hackers. And right now we've just been building a tower as high as we can, and learning how to craft guns and stuff. And we've learned the politics now, which is if you meet us for the first time and you're nice, you can leave and never come back to our area and you'll be safe. Or you don't listen to us and you stick around and you get killed, and then you tell your friends that these guys ain't nothing to fuck with, in the words of Wu-Tang. And that's worked out because we're in this area of the map called Hacker Valley, which is like where resources spawn in like just insane amount of resources, and we're housed like right near it. And we've like became so infamous on the server, like my friend and I, just by our policy that like some dude would be like, all right, I'm going to go craft and hacker in the global chat. And they'd be like, all right, watch out. There's these guys have a tower there. Don't fuck with them. So we've just been okay.
Okay. Now I'm going brain dead. But with Rust, do you think it's gotten to the point, like, there's been a lot of podcasts and a lot of chat about, like, just fucking people over in Rust. Do you think people are starting to get intimidated from playing it?
Yeah, honestly, I think that from the start, people have been intimidated from like starting it in general, but they recently, this is like a big news thing, they took out zombies, and because the creator Gary, I don't know his last name, but he's big news. He didn't want it to be a zombie survival game, so he took out zombies, and their replacement right now are red wolves and bears, and it sounds just like a little cop out, but bears and wolves take at least 2 arrows to kill, and red wolves take at least 3. So, and zombies only took 1 arrow to kill. So you could like potentially farm zombies because they're easy to escape from, and you could just farm all these great drops and everything. But since now the main loot dropping enemies are harder to kill and they're more dangerous, like they take out more health than the zombies did, people are more tepid towards going after them and hunting. So there's less people running around with the best gear on every server. Like it's way harder now to get ahead, which is, I feel like, helped the game out a lot.
I'm glad they took out zombies, because
Me too.
We all know my feelings about zombies.
Yeah, now you can play it.
I don't know your feelings about zombies. I assume you hate them.
I hate them so much. I am really sick of zombies being in everything that everybody likes.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
So what drives conflict in Rust? Like, is it the scarcity of resources, or
basically people drive the conflict? Because I mean, the main menace in the game is hackers now, and this will be eradicated once they figure out how to kill cheaters. But there'll be these people, hackers can, like, the main hacks that people use are aim bots, which like gives you like god aim, and speed hacks, so you can run really fast, and flying. So
Counter-Strike in 1999.
Yeah. So now like it's been really cool, like the little guys like us traditionally, like where we just have a house and, you know, like basic cloth armor and bow and arrows, will all meet at a certain point and band together and like go after the hackers and like show them that just because they have cheats they can't really overpower the server. But other than that, really it is the finding the best resource spawning areas and holding them as your own and just like surviving. It really just depends on who, like what kinds of people are on the server, which is why I feel like it draws such a huge crowd of people, because you can play it, you can make your own rules, which is it's just a crazy game.
I'd be lying if I hadn't been toying with the idea of organizing a bunch of goons and invading Mitch Dyer's server.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have talked about doing that, and they don't cheat at all or anything like that. So, like, the only thing they have over other people is that they kind of have a celebrity status. You know, like, people see them on there and they know who they are, and they don't want to mess with them. They want to help them. So, if anyone really goes after Mitch, and it's like Mitch, Anthony Gallegos, and Matt Chandronnet, it's also on Rebel FM, their podcast. Anyone goes after them, they've potentially, all they really have to do is go into the global chat and be like, hey, we need help, and they'll get a ton of people that will just help them based on who they are.
It's like, hey, if you corpse camp us, you'll never be able to be an associate editor.
yeah. It never got that bad, but that's a threat. So yeah, we left that server because they're just so good at the game, like playing other people, that I still want to learn the game, and I passed my 65th hour. So yeah, it's nuts. It's just nuts. And they said they're only 10% done with the game, so I'm wondering what will come next.
Is this an addiction for you now?
No, because like this is how I know it's an addiction. I had 3 tests last week, and if I ever put off studying for anything for a game, or anything really, I know it's becoming an addiction. And I didn't play Rust for a Monday through Thursday, so it's just kind of like something new to me.
You're good.
And it's not March yet, so none of the like wave of games has come out, because March is insane this year.
Isn't it kind of a dick move from the games industry, considering their target market, that they always put so many games out in March?
Yeah.
When like finals are generally like late March, early April.
Yeah, it's kind of sucky. Like, what we got? We got Elder Scrolls Online is early April, so like you can consider that the same thing. And Infamous, Titanfall, Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2. It's insane.
Is Thief this month?
Thief is this month. It's close to the end, right. Yeah. So many games. And Thief's a PS4 and Xbox One game, so.
Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2. That's early March, right?
It's the 11th.
Jeez.
I think it's the same day as Titanfall.
Is the PC version of Dark Souls 2 same day, or is it later?
Yeah, same day.
Okay, cool. That's what I'll be playing.
I got to play the first hour of it at a preview event, and oh man.
Did you love it?
It's so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
goddamn. Can you talk about it?
Is it
what's up?
optimized a lot better than the PC port of the first Dark Souls?
Oh, so I might not have been very clear there. It wasn't the PC version that I played
Okay.
at the preview event, but I've heard, like, in interviews they have said, like, yeah, we didn't really know what we were doing with Dark Souls. The second one is not going to be like that on PC.
Okay, good. Because I can't play the first one. Games for Windows Live has caused an ongoing battle, but I can get it started now, and I can start a game, but once the main first cutscene ends, the game crashes. So,
Oof,
yeah.
that sucks.
Luckily, I got in the mood to play Dark Souls like a few weeks before the second one comes out, so I'm gonna.
You should do that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite game. It's so good.
Yeah, it's up there for me.
I'm doing a Let's Play right now on IGN, which is kind of fun. I'm taking a new person through it, Megan, one of our database editors.
And that's the original, right? I've been kind of watching them.
Yeah, the first. Yep.
Oh, man.
We're going to just play them up until 2 comes out, and then hopefully I'll just start a Let's Play of that.
Mm-hmm. You should, because I want people to play that game. A question
For Dark Souls 1, IGN... Oh, what's up?
A question I have for you mainly and everybody here. Do you think Sony will ever revisit the Demon Souls IP? Because for those who don't know, Dark Souls is like a spiritual successor to Demon Souls, which is a PS3 exclusive. And they're similar in a lot of ways, like mainly combat and difficulty. But Sony still owns the IP for Demon Souls.
Right, but they don't own From Software.
Right, who makes the game?
I don't know. Dark Souls... So Demon Souls was really sort of underground, and then Dark Souls brought From Software more into the light, and Dark Souls is now like a thing, right? So if 2 sells really well, like I don't see any reason unless Sony threw a giant pile of money at them. I mean, they could put another studio on it, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, I don't foresee there being a Demon Souls Demon Souls 2.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, Dark Souls 2. It's gonna be insane. Do you?
So,
Go ahead, Eden. I've been talking a lot. Go ahead.
All right, I was actually just going to thank a few people. At the beginning of the show, you will have heard our brand new theme song, and that theme song came from Thomas Rakowitz, who was super willing to write it for us. I just asked him, and he's like, here you go in 5 minutes. Well, not 5 minutes because he had to write it and perform it and record it, but it was extremely quick, and I'm super grateful for it. I'm super happy with how it turned out. So thank you to Thomas, and you can go find his stuff on YouTube if you search for his name, as well as he was on Brian Altano's latest album, and he played some guitar things on it, and it was pretty good. So you should go check out his stuff. Also, we have been getting a few reviews in finally on our iTunes page. So I just wanted to thank Jordan Rodkey, who wrote, with the title Customer Service, 5 stars, nihilistic tendencies all around us, period. Yelling, period. Man of Steel sucks, period. Alma Mater. I don't know what this means, but we really appreciate the review. As well as Link's Awakening wrote, with title Radical, 5 stars. This podcast is da bomb diggy. Totally tubular. So rad, period. Thanks so much, guys, for reviewing and rating our podcast. We really appreciate it, especially when it's nonsensical. But if you review our podcast or rate it, we will make sure to give you a shout out on the show because it really, really, really helps us out. So make sure to do that. Jimmy, do you have a game review this week, speaking of reviews?
I went back and I played old games, so I can review Gravity Rush really quick.
Okay.
Gravity Rush is a Vita game that was supposed to be really, really, really big on Vita, and it started as a PS3 game, and it came out in the summer of 2012, and it's a superhero origin story, and it features a character named Kat, and she basically doesn't know who she is, but she meets this cat named Dusty who...
I love this game already.
Yeah, you would love it. Who gives her the ability to shift gravity, and it's a good game. And it's open world. It looks great on Vita. It's got a really nice cell shaded art style. The story falters a bit, but every story point is delivered in a really cool graphic novel style that kind of makes up for its shortcomings. And the combat is fun at the beginning, but by the end it starts to get boring. But I got bored in the last boss fight, really, and I didn't know it was the last boss fight. So it's a free PS Plus game. It has been forever. So if you have a Vita, definitely check it out. It took me about 10 hours to beat the story, and maybe 12 to go for the platinum, because it's a really easy platinum trophy. And if I reviewed it, I would give it probably around a 7.5 out of 10, which is good, just because it's got...
But you give every game 9.0 out of 10, I thought.
Shh, don't tell anyone that I'm giving a 7 then, or 7.5. But yeah, I mean, it's all the problems are stuff that will be addressed most likely in the sequel that's been announced. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's free for PS Plus users too.
So
Cool.
There's a lot of brand new Vita users.
Right.
What games would you recommend that they play if they're just getting a Vita now, like I did?
There's so many. Hotline
Like
Miami.
top 3.
Hotline Miami is for sure top. Velocity Ultra is another one that was a mini. I've talked about it before. It's made by Future Lab, and they care deeply about their games. So that's a really good one. It's a twin stick shooter that kind of just mixes things up a bit and really feels new. And the third one's going to be a tie between Sound Shapes, which is a music game platformer that I can't really describe at a capacity that'll make it sound as good as it is, and Ali Ali, because that's one of the... It scratches
I just
this...
asked you for 3 games, and you just named 5.
I named 5? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 5. Those are top 5. They're all cheap, so that equals 3 full games. Yeah, it's ironic. I named like indie games. Okay, yeah. Vita's a good indie console. You like indie games?
It is.
Yeah, I'm looking at all my games right now. I picked the best ones.
We have one last listener question before we wrap up the show, I think. And Justin, super fan of Jimmy and Eden, asks, how are you guys liking Bravely Default?
Okay.
Has anybody played it?
I played about 5 hours of it. The demo. That is exclusive.
That's more than me.
You played a half hour, right, Brian?
So what is it?
I'm bad at describing JRPGs. Brian, do you want to describe it?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not an old school Final Fantasy guy, but almost all the comparisons I'm seeing are like this is like Final Fantasy like 3 and 5 or something. I don't know what that means because I haven't played them. But yeah, it is a really hardcore old school JRPG, and the big mechanic, which is where the name comes from, is that when you're in combat you can you sort of have these charges stored up, and then you can brave or you can default. And so you can like this is so difficult to explain without having gameplay there. You can like queue up 4 braves and do like 4 attacks in a row, but then you're like -4 in the hole and you can't attack for a while.
Right.
So it's this whole like, do you choose to go all out? Or am I playing more defensively to store up for a bigger attack later? That's sort of the big hook of it, and it's really fun.
Yeah, and
Jimmy, you played more of it than I have.
Yeah,
so let me know.
The Bravely Default system or whatever is my favorite part. I feel like I missed all these Final Fantasy games too, the old school ones, and it's what it feels like to me is a classic RPG with enough modern twists to let me relive what everyone else lived back in the day. And yeah, the Bravely Default system is when you default, you're basically defending, and it lets you build up those points, and then when you brave, you can stack your default points and attack 4 times, up to 4 times. And you have a party of 4 characters at any given time, and you can change their classes whenever.
Yeah, there's a job system.
Job system, that's what it's called. I don't know any of the lingo, so fans that are gonna get mad, bear with me. And there's like a little cool town building mechanic. It's just like a bunch of stuff to do in the game, and it's apparently pretty good. So I would say pick it up from what I played. And if the demo's still available, I think it is, play that first, because it's about 5 hours and it's all content that's not in the real game, the full game, and it has a special boss, and your save will transfer. So it's definitely worth playing the demo first. So yeah, Bravely Default.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody who has been listening. If you'd like to find Jimmy on Twitter, you can search up Jimmy Champagne, and you can also find our guest, Brian, at Albino Albert, and Virtue at Mr. J Virtue. And you can find me at Eden the Cat, or the show at Jimmy and Eden, all on Twitter. If you would like to send a question in, you can send it in to eden@jimmyandeden.com, or you can send it into our Twitter. We will try to answer it, and we'll always read your reviews if they are entertaining on the show. So thank you so much again, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.